Imagine vast expanses of untracked powder, huge alpine bowls, a beautiful day, and a private lift service capable of flying to the top of the most desirable runs anywhere. What you get is a skier's dream come true. Even Europeans, familiar with the mega resorts of France and Switzerland, know that British Columbia's helicopter skiing is the ultimate skiing fantasy. Mainstream skiers lust for heli-serviced champagne powder, a more serious challenge at the cutting edge of the sport is extreme skiing. Extreme skiing, to descend a slope so steep and so exposed that mistakes are fatal. The goal? To go where no person has skied before. To ski an ultimate run. A run dropping 2,700 vertical feet at a steady 57 degrees. A run with more vertical than most resorts. The run, the North Face of Mount Robson, a slope described as the most spectacular ski descent in North America. To ski it borders on the impossible. Over the past 7 years, the dream to ski Mount Robson has belonged to two men, Doug Ward and Peter Chernovsky. They have each organized their own teams and are racing each other to be the first to ski this pitch. The story begins in 1980 when Peter is lured to Mount Robson by this man.
Hello, all you characters out in radio and TV land. This is the Wheaties Go for Broke contest. Alive and in captivity, two skiers will come down, not walking, not talking, but crawling on their bellies like reptiles. Not a bone in their body, or at least not when they get to the bottom.
Chuck Hammond, a fast-talking promoter, immediately saw potential for profit. Picking up the tool he uses most proficiently, the telephone, he soon had 40 journalists on the scene. It was to be a dangerous stunt, and as this newsreel shows, a perfect media story.
Here's their report, the first comprehensive account of the death of a dream.
Massive, majestic, 12,972 feet, the highest mountain in the Canadian Rockies, Mount Robson. Since the railway was first pushed through this Yellowhead Pass, it's been the principal attraction for millions of passengers making their way through the Rockies. Now it is the great challenge in the young lives of Jacques Thibault and Peter Chernovsky. Their challenge: to ski this mighty mountain.
Chuck Hammond had taken 2 months to set the scene, but had done it with an audacity that would make P.T. Barnum blush. Many people were impressed. He buddied with the reporters a lot, ate a lot, drank a lot, and talked a lot. The more Chuck talked, the bigger the story grew. As October 23rd, the day of the attempt, was drawing closer, the talk was thrust into overdrive. Shortly before the big day, there was a trip to a snowfield where Jacques and Peter could practice their skiing. Peter's previous extreme skiing experiences included a partial ski descent of Peru's highest peak, the 22,000-foot Huascarán. More recently, however, he had had a number of serious accidents. Jacques was less well known, but he professed to have skied with the great French extreme skiers, and he claimed to have climbed Robson 5 times. Neither claim could be substantiated. The slope was a much gentler incline than the proposed route, yet incredibly, Jacques had trouble. There were rocks under the snow, he explained.
Why do you want to do this?
Because it's there.
It hasn't been skied yet. And somebody else is going to do it if we don't get to it first. And we're Canadian and Canadian Mountain.
Tell me, if one of you fell, do you think the other one keep on going?
Well, once you begin your run, you really have no choice but to go down.
The fact was, the run the skiers had chosen was simply impossible. For a start, the gargoyles at the top of the run were easily 300 feet of twisted blue ice. By now, there were some serious questions, but the skiers were trapped. With the cameras rolling, the pressure to ski Mount Robson was immense. There was even talk that they would jump a 200-foot waterfall.
Then the most difficult part will come near the end of the face when it narrows down to a bottleneck before entering the frozen waterfall section of the course, where we will have to slow our speed down to a very moderate level and actually stop right before the drop-off, get our wits together, concentrate, and jump off. Primarily, I'll be thinking only of skiing because that's the only thing I'll be doing at the time. There's going to be music in my ears playing to get my mind off everybody else, including the cameras and the reporters and everything else. I enjoy life and I enjoy skiing very much, too much.
A very concerned, emotionally drained mother and father, Therese and Lucien Thibault, visibly shocked after their first look at this terrifying mountain upon their arrival from Quebec.
I'm very afraid and anxious.
Well, she's a little bit afraid, and I can understand that. And well, what can we do for that? Wow, looks good. It's gonna be a butter run, man.
Yeah, it'll be knee-deep.
Maybe this waterfall will be quite a deal to jump off. Well, we'll go for it.
The mountain towers, cold, lonely, and menacing. And those of us who have been here for several days watching the preparations are getting more and more frightened, frankly. Perhaps the only two that aren't at this moment are those intrepid skiers at the top. Down here, there are a lot of people saying prayers. The disappointing truth that all their aerial observations up until this time had not been enough came as they attempted to enter the chute, or the shotgun, from the top that would lead to the face. The plan had been to rappel through this almost vertical ice cavern with skis on. Jacques did descend a giddy 150 feet on the ropes, but it was nowhere near enough. It would have needed that much rope again, a descent closer to 300 feet, and they were just not prepared or equipped for that.
Nobody, like seriously, Jacques, if you couldn't go, just go. Right. There's no way. They just...
Down below, we waited and wondered, not knowing just what was happening up there. And then the helicopter carrying the skiers came back. The disappointment in their eyes told the story.
I just let my skis down. Come back up. That's the best thing to do.
Not only dropped off, but it really narrowed down to a ditch only about a foot, 2 feet wide. Your skis, you couldn't even maneuver them on.
I didn't want to take any chance because we want to do that safe, and I just found out that it was too dangerous to try to go that way. So what I decided to do now is to come back down here and try to start again tomorrow, but climbing up the face, so we won't have to ski that chute.
Yeah, but if you can't do it tomorrow, is that it?
Well, that's it, I guess, yeah.
We'll do it tomorrow.
We'll do it tomorrow.
That was Thursday, 2 p.m. Back in Valemount, the citizens were unaware of just what was happening up on the mountain, but many of them were very obviously concerned about it all.
Well, Mount Robson's a very, very challenging mountain for climbers, for anyone that since the early 1900s, and I think that these are very, very brave, courageous young men, and I hope they're not being exploited so somebody can have a few cheap thrills.
Just after 10 Friday morning, the entire project ended.
Thus, the first attempt to ski Mount Robson ended in a shambles. Chuck, with the police hot on his tail, skipped town. For Peter, it was a hard lesson about getting involved with the wrong people. As for Jacques, he dropped right out of the skiing scene.
Speed's about 40 miles an hour, and the ceiling closing, as you can see.
Unfortunately, the wind did pick up to an incredible force. Like, the helicopter couldn't land. It had to hover above a ledge, and the guy jumped out and told us everything's called off, and we jumped in.
We called it off today. We called it off for this year. I'm still working on that project. I don't want to give up, and I won't give up.
Would you like to try this mountain again yourself, Peter?
I really can't say right now, you know. I have to sit on it for a couple of days.
So Beyond the Steep, as this was called, is really a story without an ending. But I think the opinion of all of us who've been here for several days observing these two fellows and observing mighty Mount Robson is that I think we're relieved that really they didn't try it. It's a very, very dangerous undertaking. Maybe sometime someone will ski Mount Robson. Frankly, I rather doubt it.
The whole media event caused Peter a great deal of embarrassment. In order to clear his name, he returned 3 different times to try and ski the mountain, but one after another, his attempts failed. Finally, on his 4th try, driven to succeed at all costs, Peter goes solo. It's a risky proposition. Being alone magnifies the danger of the mountain and increases the difficulty of the climb. After 3 days of dangerous glacier travel, and against the odds, he summits the mountain. It has been an exhausting odyssey. Looking over the edge, he spots a 500-foot band of blue ice scarring the North Face. It would require ropes and anchors to descend it on skis. Being ill-equipped and on his own, Peter chooses the east side, an easier route. Nevertheless, he enters the history books as the first person to ski the highest mountain in the Canadian Rockies. Though the mountain is skied from the top, the ultimate prize, the North Face, remains unskied. Racing Peter to be the first to ski this face is Doug Ward of Calgary. He has made several preliminary trips and one actual attempt. Now, with a well-composed team, he is on the verge of success.
Working in the Kananaskis country, a friend said, "You know where there's a face that should be skied? Mount Robson." Soon afterwards, I saw the mountain, and I knew I wanted to be the first to ski it. It would be nice to make that piece of history. I hired Murray Cochran and his horses to help carry in gear. He's lived here his whole life, and his stories are great. It's amazing that 100 years ago there was nothing around. Even today, the wilderness is very much alive and every day a part of Murray's life. I worried a bit when I heard 2 other people were going to try, but I know how difficult it is to summit Robson. People don't give the mountain the respect it deserves, don't understand the scale, the perspective of Robson. When I realized they were going to fly to the summit and expected to jump off, I thought, who could be so arrogant to think that they could do that? The promotion and sensationalism seemed ludicrous. To invite reporters who didn't sweat a bit flying to the top was sacrilege. It infuriated me. You have to earn the right to stand on top. I was sort of smug that they didn't succeed. Years later, when I heard it was skied, my heart sank. But I think there was a smile on my face for Peter. It certainly was an accomplishment, but it wasn't Robson's jewel, the North Face. The landscape is a knockout, a double whammy. You're left breathless by the beauty and physically burnt by the scale. Getting to the summit is an accomplishment that demands peak physical conditioning. The mountain looms almost 2 miles above the valley floor and is surrounded by vast amounts of ice. After grinding up the 16 miles to Berg Lake, you round the corner and there, 8,000 feet above you, whoa, the North Face. It's almost 3,000 vertical feet, very steep snow and ice with overhanging ice bulges at the top. The average skier can't comprehend the difference between skiing the North Face and skiing at a resort. I mean, it's got more vertical than any run in eastern North America. Not only that, but the pitch drops at a sustained 55 degrees. Stand on something this steep, your elbow touches the wall. If I were to fall, there'd be no hope. When we first let out our intentions, reactions included mockery, disbelief, and please not to's. Family and friends questioned my motives and their feasibility. They're afraid for me, and I have to admit the dangers scare me too. But I'm as strong as I've ever been, and I feel confident of success. As well, I have the support of my guides Mike Sawyer and Albie Soul, and my friend Terry Gamble. I began in 1976 climbing glaciers in the backcountry of the Kananaskis. I had very limited mountaineering experience, had no ropes, no crampons, or axes. We simply put skis on our shoulders and went up like goats. After almost falling down the North Face of McCard, I began to realize the seriousness and consequences of making mistakes. I vowed I would become a mountaineer. I would learn the tools of the trade. Preparedness, strength, and skill are things that a person who skis Mount Robson must have, but beyond all that, I feel that to succeed in my attempt to ski it will be by the grace of God. It's not something you can stand on top and boast about. With the first view of the North Face, what we see does nothing to instill confidence. The face does not resemble our earlier reconnaissance. Conditions are icy and patchy. We will need to actually climb onto the face before deciding if it is navigable on skis. The essence of extreme skiing is the solitude. You are on your own and responsible for yourself. It is a test of personal strength and courage. There's no rope, no safety line. You're in a position of extreme exposure. In your mind, you can ski and navigate the route, but failure is death. There's a great adrenaline rush. It's the ultimate challenge.
Having established camp up high, Doug sets out to warm up and practice his crucial art in preparation for the following day. He needs to build his confidence, and he skis a number of runs down an east-facing pitch.
After the elation of a ski run, we're dealt a dose of reality. The mountain begins rapidly to change its personality. The situation becomes desperate in a very short time. The question is no longer upward progress, but survival. At 11,000 feet, exposure would rapidly become fatal.
The assault on Mount Robson's North Face is delayed by a vicious storm. Doug has been trapped before, and he recognizes the danger. Particularly violent winds can send tents, occupants, and all careening off the mountainside. A snow cave is the best protection. With the temperature dropping to minus 25 degrees, the team digs furiously.
For the first day of the storm, we are in relative luxury. Inside the cave, there's an eerie calm, no wind, almost unsettling. Then the wind picks up to a high-pitched scream and the snows fall in earnest. We're stuck. Nothing to do but play games, tell ridiculous stories, and scheme about ways of making millions. Mostly we want to get out, but can only wait and watch our reserves of food, radio power, and morale dwindle to nothing. By day 6, I'm very impatient. When a break finally comes, there's a general consensus. Let's go find a hot bath. Furthermore, the mountain seems determined to either blow us off or swallow us up, and is wasting no time in sending in a new front. There's 3 feet of new snow, loading the slopes and creating extreme avalanche danger. Our route down is cut off. We decide to evacuate by helicopter. The mountain has well and truly quashed our efforts. As the chopper comes, Mike Sawyer, a mountaineering guide I had hired, directs the machine in for a landing, but there's something wrong with the picture. As I realize what it is, the accident happens. The machine unexpectedly settles deeper in the fresh snow. A blade sweeps down and severs a hand, as well as denting Mike's skull. He's bloody lucky to be alive. Mike instinctively drops to the snow and starts crawling away. There's blood all over. I grab my medical bag and rush to him. Meanwhile, the chopper is still screaming.
The horror of this will haunt Doug for years to come, changing his outlook on life. Old priorities, like skiing Mount Robson, seem less important. Stunned by the accident and pounded by the storm, this team, too, is marked by the wrath of Robson.
Robson, 2,800-foot North Face, 50 to 60 degree blue ice, bad weather, bad rock, tough climbing, and heavy loads. Sounded great. We were on our way.
It all starts with a call from Peter Chinovsky. Bam! I'm on my way to Vancouver, BC. Hope it's not raining. Peter told me all about Robson, and I've seen the pictures. I want to be there when somebody skis the north face of that mountain. Peter's waiting at the airport, impatient as usual. Together we'll head out to meet the rest of the team up at Robson.
Eric, over here. It's great to see you, man. How's the flight?
On the way, I realized that besides Peter, I don't know any of the other people. What am I getting into? This is wing and a prayer mountaineering. The crew assembles at Camp Zero. Turns out to be a pretty good team. There are 6 skiers, a full film crew, lots of support climbers, and even a couple of journalists. Pretty large team, but we'll need all the help we can get. Trevor Peterson and Steve Smarridge trained all summer for this expedition. They're passionate about the mountains, totally committed once they set their goals. Trevor is one of the most aggressive ski mountaineers I've ever met. He's always willing to turn it into the red zone. He's like a storm that rages across an open plateau. Steve impresses me as a locomotive. Powerful, trail tough, but so independent, he might be hard to work into the team. He's only there for himself. Maybe not ready to sacrifice for the common good of the expedition. That's a skill that comes to a few. These two are old friends. They've shared a lot. They'll be 2 of the stronger prospects that climb and ski the peak. Like Doug Ward's expedition, our first destination is Berg Lake, at the base of Mount Robson's north flank. Some of us have been here before and come prepared for the 18-kilometer slog. Mountain bikes sure come in handy when you have to send somebody back for forgotten items like batteries, band-aids, tent poles, tripods, and most important, the peanut butter. We also arranged to fly in a few odds and ends by chopper. Skis, equipment, and 500 pounds of food. We're gonna be here for a while. This base camp is perfect for our assault on the peak. 8,000 feet below the formidable summit of Robson. The weather is good by Robson standards, but horrible by California standards. It is alternately cloudy, foggy, snowy, rainy, windy, then cloudy again. So we hang out at base camp, eat a lot, and tell glorious lies about ourselves. The usual rainy day fun. Trevor, Steve, and Peter get restless and set out to scout the first section of the climb. The wet rocks are slick and dangerous, but it's important to find a route through the crumbling cliffs up to Camp 1. We don't want our less experienced climbers going the wrong way and getting stuck. Peter assures us that this is the fastest way. I first met Peter in Peru. The guy's a renegade, a berserker. He follows his own agenda. He's this character who wants the mountain, and as long as the mountain's there, he'll go for it. There's something elusive about him, and I'm not sure what it is. On their return, Peter reports.
We're back down at base camp. After trying an attempt, we established a route to the left of the tumbling glacier, up through the rock band, and we put in a high camp right at the edge of the rocks in the Nieve, going up the North Face. We're contemplating ferrying more loads up. The weather has socked in a bit. If the rock's dry from the previous night's rainfall, we'll ferry a few more loads up. The North Face looks a bit treacherous. The whole bottom part is covered with an ice sheet. The top part of the face looks very good, with a lot of snow.
Dawn. After 4 days, it's finally clear. We hear there are 2 Australian climbers missing on the mountain, a week overdue. No food, no water, no shelter. Then a helicopter clatters past with 2 body bags slung under its belly. We take the warning to heart, but we're not turning back. We're well prepared with full support, not just 2 climbers alone on the mountain. The Park Service thinks we're going up there to kill ourselves on skis. That's their job to be concerned. It's our job to stay alive and use our own best judgment. Most people think of climbing and mountain skiing as hardened individuals gunning for glory and danger, some kind of sick macho strut. But there's a lot more to it than that. Extreme skiing is about knowing yourself, the mountain, your fears and intuitions. It's a chance to come very close to yourself. Our first obstacle is the river. One cold mother, biting. I'm a sunny California boy and couldn't even cross it the first time. I took off my pants like the Canadian guys. At 20 feet across, my toes went numb, and my feet and legs. I swarmed back onto the rocks. Meanwhile, the Canadians just cross it like a beach in Hawaii. I feel bad being climbing leader and all. But the next day, I tough it across. Climbing Mount Robson from Berg Lake is pretty straightforward. For the first hour, you just follow the flags left by the scouting party. For the next 4 hours, falling rocks try to dent your skull. These 70-pound packs make it tough. The long, awkward skis keep catching on rocks, trying to pitch us into space. We set Camp 1 among the boulders. The nearby fresh-running stream makes it perfect. Robson is beautiful in the morning light, but recent rains may have spoiled the snow. Alex Shabowski and Dan Redford will go check it out. Alex is a good choice to scout the route from Camp 1 to the North Face. He's a volcano, a hot lava of enthusiasm, incapable of slowing down just one explosion after another. He's the best kind of partner to have on an expedition. Dan was on the North Face last year. What a nightmare. He and two teammates climbed to within 100 feet of the summit. Then a storm rolled in, forcing them to take refuge in a crevasse. For the next 5 days, no food, no fuel, no water, and a friend dying of altitude sickness. Finally, the storm abated, and a rescue team pulled them out in a lull. Dan has a lot of respect for the mountain now. It doesn't take long for weather to change. While Alex and Dan check out the North Face, the rest of us ferry loads to Camp 2 on 10-7 call, adjacent to the North Face. A great staging area for the final assault on the peak. It's the same place where Doug Ward's team waited 6 days in a snow cave, and where Mike Sawyer lost his arm. We know the winds can be vicious here, and immediately set up a large windbreak to protect our tents. The rest of the skiers and support climbers arrive with their loads, each in his own good time. I think about Peter and his bizarre introduction to the mountain 7 years ago. He can look back and laugh now, but then it was deadly serious. Picture this young, inexperienced 21-year-old lowering some poor skier off the peak with a rat's nest of plastic rope while the media circus waited below. It seems so remote, so unreal. From Camp 2, we can watch Alex and Dan's progress. The two climb up about 200 feet onto the North Face and then right back down. Not a good sign. At the bottom of the face, they put on their skis for a quick trip down to Camp 2. We wait for the word. No way. Alex says it's a damn skating rink turned on its side. No ski edge in the world could hold on such steep blue ice. The face can't be skied in these conditions. Not by us, not by anybody. Desperate, we think about other ways to ski the mountain. Maybe the west side, Peter's old route to the top. But avalanches are raking the face. Looks like we're sandbagged. We worked so hard preparing this trip, and now we're beaten by forces beyond our control. Hell with it, I think I'll just climb to the summit instead. It's better than nothing. The Fuhrer Ridge route looks pretty good. Steve decides to join me. The others are more interested in skiing than climbing. Who cares if it's the middle of summer? There's snow and they've got skis. They climb up the helmet, a peak on Robson's flank. Not the North Face, but the skiing will be extreme. But what is extreme skiing? The term has so many definitions. Some say it means you fall, you die. I reject that. Others say it's anything over 50 or 60 degrees. I reject that too. To me, extreme skiing is a combination of steepness, difficulty, objective hazard, and personal challenge. It pushes your absolute limits. Some call it extreme, but really it's a ballistic hybrid of gymnastics, high diving, and body billiards. Only the best dare to play. Scott Schmidt. Now this guy can ski. The top extreme skier in the U.S. Superhuman balance. Leaps tall cornices in a single bound, almost as fast as a speeding bullet. I first met Scott in the North Face offices. He dropped by to scrounge more equipment. When I showed him a picture of Robson's North Face, he immediately wanted to come. Scott is the first one down the steep face of the helmet. He makes no mistakes. The helmet's great. It's not the North Face, but it is a nice consolation prize. On the other side of the call, Steve and I don't have such a great day. We had to turn back when the weather socked in up high. The Fuhrer Ridge is not a fun climb anyway. The rock and snow are hideous, rotten, ready to break loose. There's no protection. Neither of us was ready to die for this route anyway.
How are we going to get off this now? I don't know, I think we should go down the Robson Glacier. It's only 12 kilometers.
Some would say this expedition failed. It's true, we didn't ski the North Face or even reach the summit, but we never had a chance. If we'd known the North Face was solid ice, we wouldn't have bothered to come. But we did have a heck of a good time. We saw a lot of mountain terrain and some real good storms. Best of all, we learned about ourselves and about each other. Ultimately, that's what climbing is all about. A sense of deepening understanding and profound beauty. now a new storm's coming in. Well, the food's all gone, it's time to go home. And since it's impossible to ski the North Face, there's no reason to stick around. But this expedition isn't finished yet. Rather than down climb the rocks, we ski out the Robson Glacier, 15 kilometers of broken ice and hungry crevasses. With skis, the trip is pretty quick, but we're on the edge the whole time. This old glacier ice is riddled with holes, some big enough to swallow the team. Going back to Mount Robson? I don't know. There's lots of adventure waiting, and it's a job unfinished. Do I want to ski it? Well, after a close look, I don't think so. Skiing that ice would be suicide. Will it ever be skied? Someday the snow will be smooth and fine. The storms will back off for a day or two. The sun will shine high and bright, and some bold athlete will be there. That day, the North Face will be skied.
Eric Perlman and Doug Ward returned to British Columbia the following winter to meet Peter Chernowski and practice a little extreme skiing. It's interesting to note that Doug and Peter have never met, even though they quest the same goal, to be the first to ski Robson's North Face. On the mountain, Peter, Doug, and Eric will be joined by Trevor Peterson and his buddies Eric the Button Peyote and Philippe Shoot the Puck Lavoie. These three locals know the area well and have some dandy runs in mind. Blackcomb is a great place to practice extreme skiing, lots of good terrain, and the biggest vertical drop in North America. The boys are particularly interested in the vast backcountry, but they remember not to ski without an avalanche transceiver and a shovel. Over the past 7 years, Peter and Doug have raced to be the first to ski the North Face of Robson, but have yet to succeed. Now, during the weekend of skiing, a new plan emerges. Peter and Doug agree to join forces. Perhaps as a team, they'll be able to finally ski the North Face. Recently, Peter and Doug flew past Mount Robson to check conditions and decide whether another attempt is in order. Unfortunately, the face is still solid blue ice, the slope so steep and the ice so sheer that snow cannot accumulate. It now seems apparent no one will ski the north face of Mount Robson for years to come.